Today is a great, wonderful, amazing, incredible day, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a Dutch day, but not just a Dutch day, but a Dutch cultural day. I couldn't even say Dutch then. Why the Netherlands is insanely well designed. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
This is a map of bike path density in Europe. All the purple lines are bike paths, and if you divert your attention to the left part of this map...
Wait. So all of these are bike paths. So you can see the countries that have the most bike paths. Is that Czech? What's Czechia? Where's that? Is that Czech Republic? Slovakia's got quite a few, but the Netherlands is all purple. So you have the most, clearly, by far. Paris doesn't even have any.
All the purple lines are bike paths, and if you divert your attention to the left part of this map, you'll see a coastal country with a lot of purple lines. This is the Netherlands, a densely populated country that knows a thing or two about designing brilliant infrastructure. And the bike paths play a significant role in that. See, with a population of 17.4 million people and a landmass of approximately 41,500
17.4 million people. I keep forgetting that the Netherlands is so small in terms of population. I think London's like 8 million people. You're 17. That means London plus like a few of our cities is the population of your entire country. That's wild. That's crazy. But you know what's crazier is that you're so well known and so well respected within Europe as being this efficient country who's very good at preserving the environment. When I say that, bicycling is one of the things that preserves the environment and makes sure that we have less pollution. And we look at the Netherlands as like that archetype country. And for such a small country and for such a small population, you've had a big footprint in the world.
square kilometers. The Netherlands is smaller in size, yet more densely populated than most European countries. So, in order to navigate that, they've come up with effective and interesting ways to handle population movement in and around their country. The most notable of which is, of course, the cycling infrastructure. And yes, it is as serious.
We don't have anything like that in the UK. We have bike sheds. Basically, it's just a cupboard where you throw your bike in. And there's never enough for the amount of bikes. Even though there's not a lot of bicycles, we just don't have the infrastructure like this. We don't have anything like this.
As everybody says it is, as it enables the 23 million bikes that are in the Netherlands to roam the streets.
23 million!
By the way, 23 million bikes means that there are 1.3 bikes per capita. That's absolutely insane. I mean, what would the bike per capita be in the United States? Maybe 0.5?
It's probably the same in the UK. Probably less than that in the UK.
What? It's 0.3? That would mean if you met an American, there is a greater chance they're obese than them owning a bicycle. Mad. Anyway, when you combine the Netherlands' bike infrastructure with its amazing public transport, you get a ridiculously smooth and efficient system. Here's how it works in Amsterdam. Commuters will use their bikes to get to and enter transit stations, where they simply park their bikes in these enormous bike parking garages.
Wow.
Then they'll travel on either a bus, tram or train to their final destination. But most of the time the fastest and most convenient option is simply taking the bikes to the final destination.
So your infrastructure is so good that, to be honest, it's worth just bicycling everywhere. I just find that fascinating. Where did that come from, guys? Let me know in the comment section. Like, where did your love for bicycles come from? You know, like, was it mandated? Was it pushed onto the people, or was it just something that culturally you guys have always loved to bicycle around everywhere? I just find it really fascinating because I don't understand why the Netherlands is like the way you are and we're like the way we are. Like the industrial revolution and the rise of cars and steam engines, and we're a car country, even though we're an island. And really, we should, if there's any country in Europe that should be on the bicycles, it's us. We're a bloody island. Like, you would think that we would be doing that, but we're not. Even though they've tried, but no one seems to want to bicycle anywhere. I just wonder why this way in the Netherlands? If you know, let me know in the comment section, but I guess he's going to tell me in this video.
But why is cycling the most convenient option? What has the Netherlands done for this to be the case?
He's answering my question.
Well, the country has made cycling incredibly easy, with 32,000 kilometers of bike lanes that aren't just a small strip along a heavily trafficked road.
Right.
Now, the Dutch do things differently. They have marked out red asphalt pavements like this strictly for cyclists. The only time cars and bikes end up on the same road is when the speed limit is less than 30 kilometers an hour. And
so cars can drive on the bicycle lane just if the speed limit is under 30 kilometers an hour. That's good. That's interesting. Just to keep traffic low. Do they not worry that? Well, I guess if the car's only driving at 30 kilometers an hour, and obviously a bicycle can go at that speed, it's not dangerous to do. I'm just fascinated. Look at all these red pavements, and you know what's funny as well? Your streets are laid out and physically, like the size of your streets and the size of your buildings and the way things are laid out is just like the UK. The difference is you prioritized bicycles. We can implement everything that you've implemented in the Netherlands. We can implement, but we won't do it because people are not willing to get rid of their cars and get on bicycles. They're just not willing to.
car volume is low. Any higher than that and there is a clear separation like this one, even on highways and roundabouts. But the Netherlands is a whole lot more than just biking and their capital city, Amsterdam. And to be honest, the most impressive infrastructure in the Netherlands is not even in Amsterdam. To see that, we have to go to Utrecht, a city that lies right here south of Amsterdam. It hosts the largest bike parking facility in the world. Room to park over 12,500 bicycles, and it has 24/7 camera surveillance.
Wow, you guys take bicycling serious. See, that's another thing in the UK. The reason why we won't have bicycles is because they'll get stolen, especially in London. London, you wouldn't be able to park your bicycle anywhere because it would get stolen. But if we have the infrastructure to keep our bikes securely, then maybe, but cars are a lot harder to steal, do you know what I mean?
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. There's no way this can be replicated in other countries. This is alien-like. But that's a myth, and there's a very simple reason for that. Just take a look at Rotterdam. During World War II, the city was practically demolished and looked, well, like this. The Dutch had to rebuild everything, and they chose to go for an automobile-centered design, which is exactly how North American cities were.
That's exactly, well, he's saying North America, that's exactly how they did with the UK, especially Birmingham. I know I've told you guys about Birmingham. That's where my mum was born. My mum was born in Birmingham. And during the World War, the same thing happened to Birmingham. Absolutely decimated. Loads of historical, old, beautiful buildings were destroyed during the war, and they rebuilt it after the war. And it's not the best looking city. It's quite ugly, actually. But they prioritized cars, so you get a lot of these weird, long, like highway sorts of roads, and it's built for cars. It's built for cars. I would be scared. It's so built for cars that I'd be scared to get on a bicycle to ride around on the roads in Birmingham. I want to know what you guys did, because clearly he said after the war, Rotterdam was destroyed and they rebuilt it for cars. So how did they change and transition from cars to bicycles? I wonder what happened.
Too, and considering where the Netherlands is today, it's crazy to think that many Dutch cities were heading in this direction too. But by the 70s, Rotterdam residents were tired of major road fatalities and plummeting cycling and walking culture. So they demanded reform, and the regulators listened. Public transportation was then heavily invested in, and roads were rebuilt.
So wait a minute, it was the people that demanded reform? Wait a minute, what? Say that again.
Fatalities and plummeting cycling and walking culture. So they demanded reform, and the regulators listened. Public transportation was then heavily invested in, and roads were rebuilt to facilitate bike lanes.
I mean, well done, well done. And you probably did it, I think he said 70s, didn't he? You did it at a time where, you know, you've had enough time to implement it and design this. I think this is why it's not working in other countries, because there's been a push in the past 5 to 10 years, a push for more bicycle lanes in UK cities and more bike sharing and city bicycles that are able, like, accessible by people. There's been a push recently, but there's no uptake in people using bicycles because nobody wants to. Everyone's still car mindset. So well done for implementing it in the 1970s earlier on, so that your whole country is now designed in such a way that facilitates bicycle riding. Well done. Wow.
After which, cycling regained its popularity. This just goes to show that even North American cities can do this if they choose to do so. But the determinism and people-centered planning of the Netherlands extends out of the cities and into Dutch suburbs as well. To bring this point home, let's compare typical Dutch suburbs to those in a state that's just as bustling and growing. In the United States, Florida. Now sure, Florida is 3.4 times larger than the Netherlands, but the argument...
3.4 times. America's ridiculous, isn't it? America's ridiculous. Like, it's not, you can't really see it as a country. It's definitely like more of a continent, because the states themselves are like mini countries. Not even mini countries, they're actually countries. Because if Florida, one state, is 3.4 times the size of the Netherlands, it's basically a continent with loads of countries in that are called states. Because they have their own governors, their own laws. America's weird. America's weird. The scale of America is weird, man. It's huge.
Argument should still stand. So here is a typical Miami suburb. What do you notice? There's a lot of greenery, but mostly there's a lot of roads, and they're specifically made for cars. Sure, there are sidewalks, but they are thin and can barely accommodate a cycler and pedestrian at the same time. And now let's look at a Dutch suburb. The homes here are much smaller, and that's an important detail.
Just like in the UK, your homes are like our homes. We build houses smaller in the UK. Our houses are smaller. America, they have these huge houses with lots of land. We don't have that. So if we have, well, obviously most European countries have similar infrastructure, then there's no reason why we wouldn't be able to implement a similar system to you. I think it's down to the culture of the people, and that's why we haven't.
Leaves more space for communal centers like parks and proper biking and walking lanes separated from the road by greenery. I can definitely understand that it seems like a sacrifice to have smaller homes, but what you get in return is efficiency. And if time is the most valuable thing we have, then this system is superior. And while Dutch efficiency has become somewhat of a trademark for the country, things weren't always so blissful and enviable. You see, technically speaking, a large part of the Netherlands should not exist, and this is what amazes me the most. See, the Netherlands was notorious for constant flooding thanks to its low elevation and closeness to the North Sea. But the Dutch have found a way to beat the ocean multiple times. This is the reason why nearly 20% of the land in the Netherlands is reclaimed land from the many marshes, swamps, lakes, and of course the sea. But how? Well, 2 words: delta works. After a deadly storm in 1953 that covered over 150,000 hectares of land and took the lives of an estimated 2,000 people, the Dutch decided...
Wow, did this happen? Do you know what this is like? The flood of 1953. Do you know what this is like? You know the Hurricane Katrina? What happened? It happened in, what was that, 2005 or something like that? Hurricane Katrina that happened in 2005, it was a similar, it was New Orleans, which is on the coastal area, and actually it's kind of built up kind of like the Netherlands, that it's sinking into the water, and there are people that live on the peripheries, the poor people live on the peripheries, and when the, I think it was the levees broke, and then when Hurricane Katrina came in, it broke the levees and the water just flooded the people and loads of people died. it's a similar story, but the difference is 2005 versus 1953. God, that shouldn't have happened in modern day, to be honest. But clearly, this is what made you guys so efficient. What happened in 1953 probably sprung you guys into action, into really fixing your infrastructure. I'm learning now. I'm learning about you.
Something had to be done. Delta Works was the answer. Delta Works is a vast network of 13 dams and barriers, featuring sluices, locks, dikes, and levees. They sold 13 dams and barriers.
So since 1958, 1960, 61, 65, 69, all through the 70s, 71, all through the 80s, and even some in 1997, you've created like flood barriers and dams to protect your coastline. Well done. That must have been a bloody mission to build.
Featuring sluices, locks, dikes, and levees. They shelter off these 4 inlets, namely Herringleddam, Bruversdam, Worcesterscheldekering, and Versegatam. I'm sorry, Dutch people, I tried my best. Anyway, they used these to reduce the coastline by 700 kilometers and remove the need for smaller and weaker levees and dams that would require constant maintenance. Pretty ingenious, I gotta say. But the Dutch haven't just prevented floodings, they've also...
What's funny is he said it replaced levees. They've still got levees in New Orleans. Very underfunded, right?
Created new land, and they achieved this without using modern technology. How? Well, first they would section off the areas they wanted to reclaim, whereafter they would drain the water out by harvesting the energy of the wind, using, of course, windmills. This created flat plains comprised of a very unique soil that happens to be perfect for growing tulips. And this is...
So you artificially created this soil, not artificially, but you reclaimed the land that maybe was covered with water but is actually really fertile, and that's why you're able to grow these tulips. And your land is very flat, which makes sense because your land was disappearing into the water. Wow, Netherlands. So interesting.
Why the Netherlands account for 80% of the world's tulip exports, which is kind of strange to think about. But today, these waters and innovations have earned the Netherlands some pretty envious titles, including the largest storm surge barrier in the world, that laid the ground for the largest and most efficient seaport in Europe, the port of Rotterdam. Located here in the delta of the Rhine and Meuse rivers, Rotterdam is in a perfect strategic location for ships coming from or going into the North Sea. To understand the sheer size of this port, here is a map of Manhattan laid on top. As you can see, the port of Rotterdam is about 1.5 times the size of Manhattan. It's huge, and with 82.5% of the Netherlands' GDP coming from exports, it's fair to say that the port of Rotterdam is really important. I could go on and on about this port's efficiency, but all you need to know is that it wins best port infrastructure year after year. The Dutch are incredibly talented at designing great infrastructure. I mean, just look at the Amsterdam airport, Schiphol, the 3rd busiest airport in Europe. It looks pretty average until you consider the number of people moving through this structure.
Wow, I didn't know Heathrow was that busy. We've got like one of the busiest airports in the
world.
world.
Facilitates 68 to 80 million passengers annually to 332 direct destinations, utilizing its 6 runways facing multiple directions. Schiphol coordinates an average of 1,500 to 1,600 departures and landings per day, giving them an hourly average of 110 to 120 aircrafts. And Schiphol accomplishes this despite being smaller than other major airports like Adolfo Suarez Madrid in Spain or the Leonardo da Vinci International Airport in Italy. The best thing about this airport though is that once passengers arrive, they have a number of transportation options, as the high-speed Thalys and Columbus trains can be accessed just beneath the terminal building. From here, you can take a 15-minute ride to the Amsterdam Central Station, or use the Dutch rail network to travel.
So what I'm getting from the Netherlands is that you guys have really great infrastructure, like really great transportation infrastructure. That's something that's not only lacking. London's pretty good. The problem is London in the UK is very centralized. They've spent all the money on London, and the rest of the UK is terrible. Like the city I'm from, Leeds, we don't even have like a tram service to get people around the city. People are still driving cars into the city, which, as you know, is inefficient, is bad for the environment, and just doesn't make sense. You have single people, single households, one person driving a car that is made for 4 people. A bit like America. You know, in America, they love their big trucks. I'm going to drive my big truck now. And there's like one person in a massive truck. It's like, mate, why are you in a massive truck polluting the environment and you're one person? It's a bit like that in the UK. Not quite as crazy as America, but yeah, there are people that just have an entire car, have no kids, have no family, but that's the best way they feel they can use transportation, because transportation is so bad in the towns and villages around the UK and cities. So people use cars a lot. But because you guys have good infrastructure, good trains, you have bicycle lanes, you have like good ways of getting about the city, getting around the country, people don't feel the need to drive cars everywhere. We've got a lot to learn from you guys. We've got so much to learn.
Across the country. Honestly,
Wow.
you could go anywhere from here. If trains aren't your style, then the airport offers affordable express buses as well. The funny thing about this airport though is that it's 4 meters below sea level, sitting on
wow.
what used to be Haarlem Lake. But all in all though, the Netherlands is an overload of intelligent design, and while some people might think it's nearly impossible to implement these methods into other countries, the reality is these methods can be replicated any place in the world if the people and leadership are willing to collaborate and listen to one another. And
If the leadership and the people are willing to collaborate and listen to each other, as your sister country, brother country, whatever you want to call us, your cousins across the pond, not even across the pond, across the water, can you speak to our government, please? Can you speak to our people? Because we're not in cahoots. We need to sort something out. They're trying. But we can't even agree on electric vehicles because a lot of people are pushing back and want to keep their petrol cars. We can't agree on anything. And the way that we spend our money, the way the government spends the money is terrible. Let's be honest, it's terrible. No one's ever looked to the UK and said, ooh, what the UK did there, we should do that. It's never been that. The Netherlands, yes. Sweden, yes. Norway, yes. Denmark, yes. Other countries, yes. We just don't know how to spend our money correctly, and our transport and infrastructure is not great. So I'm very jealous. You guys are pretty awesome.
invest in infrastructure that is people, environment, and future centered. Thank you for watching, and I'll
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Yeah. I can't wait to go to the Netherlands. I know when I go to the Netherlands, I know I'm not going to be stranded waiting at a bus stop or waiting forever at a tram line or waiting forever for a train. I know there's different modes of transport to get me to and from where I need to go. It sounds efficient. In the UK, it's not efficient, but it sounds very efficient in the Netherlands. So you should be proud. Be proud of your country, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. And until the next one, I'll see you very soon.